Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about buying things online and how to behave. Now, there's a lot of people that put items online and they sell it, or they're trying to buy items, and I wanted to give you just some guidelines. As both the person that buys many things online and sells many things online, I wanted to share with you some of the knowledge I've accumulated over the years. And it seems like it's not a lot of people don't have this common sense, but I think a lot of people do realize it. But I've seen a pattern of behavior by people, and I want you to avoid some of these pitfalls. As a seller, you want to get the maximum amount of money out of your bikes or cars, and as a buyer, you want to get it cheaper. But there are some guidelines that you should follow. So one rule is don't lowball. This is something that will put you in a different category right off the bat. If you're a buyer and you see a car and the car is for $4,000 and somehow maybe the car is worth really only $2,000, but yet the seller has it for $4,000, one of the things that people will do is they'll say $500. They won't even say hello. They'll just say $500, and they won't think that perhaps it's an insulting offer. But for me, if somebody's got something really high, I just don't message them. Eventually it's going to come down in price, and that's when you can contact the owner and give them a different price. But if you lowball something way more than what the asking price is, the person might not even reply to you, because that's kind of like an insulting offer, and you're better off not even doing it. You should actually say something else, give a price. You can actually maybe say $300 less or whatever the price is, but never give it such an insultingly low offer. Another thing that's really annoying, especially if you're the seller, is people asking if it's available. It's notorious, and especially in the Facebook marketplace, they make it so easy to hit the send button with, is it available? And you just, if I sell a motorcycle or car, especially if it's a good deal, you'll get 100 emails asking if it's available. This is what I imagine what's like to be a woman in a online dating app, is that you get a bunch of guys just sending you, hi, how are you? And so many that the woman just kind of ignores you. You should read the description of the item. I see a lot of people not reading the description. So the first thing, don't ask if it's available. Just assume it's available because it's online. The seller would automatically remove it. Very few people leave things up that are not for sale. If you don't agree with the price that the seller has, it's not really your job to tell them that the car costs $2,000 less. The seller will eventually figure it out when nobody is asking them. And the thing is, you get a lot of price Nazis messaging you if they disagree. And I've gotten into arguments, and people start out their message really angry at me. I sold a Toyota pickup truck, and I listed it really high. And that's fine, because I wanted to see if there was any interest at that price range. And I had people that were interested in the car, so they wanted it much less, which actually was the price that I sold it for. But they started out having this aggressive email belittling me, and they assumed I was going to keep going with them. But if you get off on the wrong foot with the seller, he's probably just going to ignore you. That's another rule. Don't be rude. Don't be arrogant. You need to be polite. Another thing that people do is they'll quote Kelley Blue Book, for example. And Kelley Blue Book has been known as not a very accurate source of values. The only real way of figuring out the value of things is by doing research. If you have a motorcycle like this, you want to see what the local inventory is like across multiple sources. But if you just look at an XR650 and you look at the prices in California and then in New York, the prices are going to be different, because items are location-based pricing. Some items are actually cheaper in different locations than they are in another. And I've seen, for example, Honda Elements. They cost much more on the west coast of the United States than they do on the east coast. So if you take a Honda Element from the east coast and you sell it in California, it's going to be much more expensive because people are more into those cars there. It's the same thing for bikes. So you can't quote a Kelley Blue Book because that's been proven to be extremely wrong. The only way is just to research online. You have to get the right build. So if I list this motorcycle, you might get a bunch of guys comparing it to a 650L because they don't know about this bike. So those prices are going to be different. So you have to find the exact item around, and then you can kind of price it and you can haggle a little bit. If you want a lot of money, it's reasonable for somebody to want a lot of money for their vehicle, and it's also reasonable for the buyer to want that vehicle for the least amount of money. So you have to kind of keep that in mind and realize this is not a personal thing. This is a business. Selling something, it's normal for people to want the most money or the least money. Keep that in mind when you approach people. There are a segment of people that insult you and belittle your vehicle when they come see it, or usually it's on a email or messenger. They'll call it out, say that it's slow, that it just doesn't work well, that it needs a lot of work. You know, you can say that, oh yeah, it needs new tires, it needs a new chain, it needs a new transmission. But when you're like talking and being insulting, remember that person that has the vehicle probably liked it. So if you come around and you start to say it's a piece of crap, the person's going to have a bad opinion of you. So you want to be a little bit nicer about the vehicle that you're looking at, especially if you know if the person is really into it. They're probably selling it because it's getting old or it needs work, or they just want to move on to another one. But you shouldn't be a douche. Don't be one of these people that message the person and they'll just give a price. So if you're selling an item for $5,000, sometimes there's people that go $3,000. That's their message, $3,000, $2,000. All of these people that message me with just prices, with not even like, hello, I like your car or something. They're deadbeats, they're tire kickers, whatever you want to call them. They never follow up. I've actually went and I said, okay, come and get it, you know, and they never do, because when you call them out on their lowball, they really are addicted more to the online marketplace than they are to actually like buying a vehicle. And you have to sort these people out, because there's people that just lowball left and right, and they just send you a price as if, what I guess they're hoping that you'll sell it at that price, but those people are not really worth it because they're not serious. If you're not serious enough to write an actual email to the person that's selling the vehicle and saying, hello, I like your car, I'd like to come and see it, then you're kind of wasting the other person's time. And if you're the seller, you'll realize what they're doing right away, especially if you had some experience. The lazier you are, the least you're going to get. And another thing, when you're selling things online, if people want to like look at it, one of the things I've done is I don't give my address anymore, because I've had people just like drive by and they'll just come at their own convenience to look at vehicles. I like them to make an appointment. And the thing is, if you start giving out your address a lot, you might get some sketchy people coming by, especially with this bike and dirt bikes and motorcycles. I've seen guys that will go through the process of buying. They seem very eager, and they'll ask for your address, and you won't hear from them again. And they're using usually fake profiles, because their goal, and I haven't had this happen because my house is very secure, but what they'll do is they'll get the address, they'll come and scope it sometime when you're not here. And if you're unlucky enough not to have a garage, for example, for a motorcycle, they will come at a certain point and then they'll steal it. And it's very easy to do on a motorcycle, especially this. If this thing was outside, it doesn't even use a key. So people would steal it. So be careful about giving out your address. And I would recommend getting maybe a public place. What I usually like to do is, if somebody's coming to look at a car, I will tell them I will meet them up the street at a public parking lot with usually like some businesses. That way they're not going to be coming to my house. And if they're serious about selling, about buying, I will, show them the house, and I'll, take the money there, whatever. But don't give out your address unless you're comfortable dealing with people, or you're one of these people that works at home and can monitor your vehicles when you're not there. You'll see a lot of people asking if it's available and just give you like a random price. If you really want to see if they're really interested, ask them for your phone number, for their phone number, or you give them your phone number and ask them to call you. The people that will call are the serious ones, and most likely nobody's going to call because we live in this texting sort of world. But if you suspect they're tire kickers, just ask them to give you a call. Most are not going to be bothered. If you find a good deal out of state or in a different area, I wouldn't neglect to actually do a fly and drive or ride. This is very popular in the motorcycling world. If you see a deal in California, for example, you can fly there and then just ride the motorcycle back. And that beats having to ride a motorcycle there and then back on a regular trip. And you can do this for cars. Often you're better off finding deals in other sources other than the marketplace. You want to find people that are kind of familiar and you're able to be sure that they're honest. It's a really popular thing for motorcycling to go cross country and bring back a vehicle. So those are some easy tips on the marketplace and buying and selling vehicles. Remember, use common sense. And the people that are sketchy, they kind of sound sketchy. It's hard to get away from being suspicious when you're actually suspicious. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.